What's up, guys? So today's Tesla video, we're going to talk about competition from China, guys. So actually, on some trading days where it seems like Tesla is so flat, it's kind of hard to make a video because there's really not much news sometimes, and the stock is pretty flat. But we had a little bit of price action today, so the stock was up over 1%. I want to talk about some of the questions that you guys left in my previous video. So there was a really interesting comment. It basically talks about how China sales were down 64%, and there's a lot of competition in China. So let's talk a little bit more about the Chinese market overall. So basically, obviously, there's a lot of competitors in China. You've got NIO, which is a Chinese-based company. You've got Volkswagen. You've got even Ford trying to sell cars in China. But the most important thing is that things in China, they fluctuate quite often. So there was a government rebate that recently got cut, so that kind of stifled sales a bit. And then of course the coronavirus shutdowns affected sales as well. But guys, automotive sales are cyclical. So just because China sales are down 64% in April doesn't mean that they're going to be down permanently. Remember, guys, things ebb and flow, and consumer tastes change quite often. So, and I was doing a lot of reading on the reports, and it was basically saying that a lot of times the sales will be much higher in the end of the quarter. So for example, Tesla had a ton of sales in March, and then it had a slower April, but they're projected to have strong sales in China in June. So I don't think this is a hindrance to the stock. I don't think that I would be worried about a metric like this. We know that Tesla makes quality products, and we know that the Chinese consumer is going to purchase a lot of cars, guys. Basically, as long as you're selling cars there, you're winning. So, China is the largest EV market in the entire world, and the population has over a billion people. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of companies that are interested in getting some of that market share. So even if Tesla isn't always the number one selling car, that's okay, because competition can be a good thing. For example, I think the best example of this would be a lot of the tech companies like Google, Amazon, Apple. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, a lot of these companies had competitors, but it was good. You want to be in a space that has competitors. You don't want to be in a market where you don't have competition, because that means that there's usually not a lot of money to be made. So for example, a great market would be obviously selling electric cars, and a bad market would be selling, baskets or something like that. There's going to be competition. So I don't think this is an alarming thing. I think this is actually a positive sign, because what we're looking for is, we're not looking for Tesla to sell every single electric car. We know that's just not physically possible. But what we're looking for them to be is to be the number one or number two player in China, because at the end of the day, Tesla's not a Chinese company, and Chinese consumers are pretty patriotic and things like that. They're usually looking towards companies that are either Chinese or that really cater to the Chinese consumer. But the fact is Tesla still has the opportunity to sell a lot of cars in Europe and United States, and China, for me, is basically the icing on the cake. China has always been a tough market to crack. I think one of the only American companies I can really think of in general that's done really, really well in China is Starbucks, and then we have the whole Luckin Coffee scandal and things like that. But a lot of China is kind of closed off to the rest of the world. Things like YouTube are banned there, and it's just a different marketplace. But the thing is that as long as we're seeing things stay steady, and we should be really focusing on the entire picture, not just China. So yeah, obviously Volkswagen is selling a lot of cars in China, but Volkswagen is the largest car seller in the entire world. So this would obviously make a lot of sense. So I'm reading some more of your guys' comments, you guys talking about, I think they'll do well in other key markets. I think Tesla is going to be a top one or two player in the entire world long term. So that's why I'm kind of not worried about these short term numbers, guys. You got to be careful about that, because at the end of the day, we're holding this stock for the long term. So as you can see here, we'll just take a look at this 5-year chart. We can see that Tesla was trading at around $150 in 2016, and now it's trading at $800. And this was in a period where a lot of consumers weren't even aware of electric cars. It just wasn't on people's minds. But there's just been an absolute explosion in interest, and I've never seen so many electric cars sold. I mean, 2016, me personally, I wasn't even quite aware of what an electric car is or the benefits of one. So I think that a lot of consumers this decade are opening their eyes, and there's a lot lot, there's a lot more growth here, so I wouldn't be too concerned with the China numbers. Although obviously we don't want to see sales drop. I think that overall in the long term, Tesla will be just fine. So I hope that guys answer your questions on the Chinese market. And like I said, guys, Tesla is still at $800. So even though they've had those factory closures, of course the market thinks is probably priced a lot of that long-term value into Tesla stock. So like I said, I'm a Tesla shareholder and I plan to hold my shares. And if it goes down any cheaper, perhaps under 600, I'll probably just buy more, add to my position. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Tesla video. So be sure to smash that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button to receive more videos on Tesla and other hyper growth stocks that you can make some money on. So that's it. Until next time, guys. Take care.